Hello.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Hare Krishna dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to His Holiness Candramauli Maharaj's daily Zoom class. Today's topic will be the continuation of prayers by Kunti Devi from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 8, verse 37. Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. I'll share the screen and pass on to you, Maharaj.
Did anyone talk about Gopal Bhatta Goswami yesterday?
No, good Maharaj. Hare Krishna. No, good Maharaj.
So I would like to use that today to speak about Gopal Bhatta Goswami, one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan.
Yes, good Maharaj. Yeah.
Okay. And also, did anybody speak about Janaki Nath yesterday?
No, good Maharaj.
Yesterday was his 1-year anniversary disappearance.
Yes, good
I'll
Maharaj.
speak first about Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Nama Omagyan Timidandasya Ginajana Salakaya Chaksu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavari Pastyatya Desatarine Vanshikopa Tarubhascha Kripa Sindhupa Evacha Titanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namaho Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Bande Rupa Sanatano Raguyago Sri Jiva Gopal Go. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan were the heirs to the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They are following in line of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and their writings and also their activities are the foundation for the process of devotional service by which we execute our devotional service. Gopal Bhatta Goswami is one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. His father was Venkata Bhatta. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to South India, he went to the Sri Rangam temple, and in the compound of the Sri Rangam temple was the living quarters of Venkata Bhatta. Venkata Bhatta, he had 2 other brothers. One is Trimala Bhatta and Prabodhananda Saraswati. Prabodhananda Saraswati is one of the great acharyas of the Sri Sampradaya, but later he came in association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Trimala Bhatta we don't hear so much about, but Venkata Bhatta is the father of Gopal Bhatta. When Lord Chaitanya was there, he stayed. This was during the rainy season, during the Chaturmas, where sannyasis don't travel during that time. They usually find some residence for 4 months and they do their personal bhajans. So Lord Chaitanya, who had been traveling throughout South India, came to the Sri Rangam temple, and he came in contact with Gopal Bhatta Goswami's father, Venkata Bhatta, who invited the Lord Chaitanya to stay at his home. And the Lord took up residence there for 4 months. At that time, Bhatta had a very young son whose name was Gopal. And Gopal immediately became attracted to Chaitanya. His father could see that also, so he gave his son Gopal opportunities to serve for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was doing personal service to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, bringing his prasadam and doing other menial chores. And he developed a real attraction. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu could understand that here is the future, here is a great personality. The Lord Chaitanya gave him a lot of his personal association, and he also spoke about Krishna to this little 7-year-old boy, Gopala. After the 4 months were over, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who wanted to, decided, of course, he had to move on. And Gopal Bhatta was so much in anxiety that losing the association of the person he developed extreme love for, and now he was leaving. And so he was in so much anxiety. And the Lord appeared to him actually in the dream and said, don't worry, you stay with your parents, you take care of them. And at one point, Krishna will set you free. You can come and join me in Navadvip, or actually Jagannath Puri. So after many years, when Gopal grew up, he was always thinking, when could he go? Then his parents left the world, and then he was free. And one day, Lord Chaitanya was in his room, and his secretary, Srila Damodar Goswami, came in and said, here is a message from Sanata and Rupa Goswami. They're saying that soon Gopal, who is also known as Gopal Bhatta, will come and see you. He had first stopped in Vrindavan, and he made friends with Sanata and Rupa Goswami. And then they alerted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Gopal was on the way to visit or to stay with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And so when he got the message, he was very happy. But it was interesting, as soon as he received the message, only a few moments later, Gopal walked into his room. It was like instant, simultaneously receiving the message and the person who would be the subject of the message. And the Lord took him under the wing, and then he told him, you go to Vrindavan and you stay there with Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, and they will engage you in various services. And so he did. He followed the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One of the more interesting parts of his life is a very fundamental part of our own worship, and that is the establishing of the Sri Radharaman deity. So there are 7 temples, and there are 7 major temples. Rupa Goswami's, Govindaji, Sanatan Goswami's, Madan Mohan, Jiva Goswami's, Damodar, and other acharyas, Gokulananda, Sham Sundar from Shamananda Pandit, Sham Sundar, Madhu Pandit established Gopinath temple. So many of these acharyas who were Goswamis, they had their own deity. Now, Gopal Bhatta Goswami one day decided to go to the Himalayas, to the very secluded place called the Gandaki River in the Himalayas. In that river, it is known that the Lord appears in his form as a Shalagram Shila. So he wanted to go and gather some Shilas and bring them back for worship. And so he took the long trek from Vrindavan to the Himalayas. And after a few months, he arrived at the Gandaki River. And he was bathing there in the Gandaki River, and it's described that when he got there, he realized that I can't take these deities out of their natural home. It's not right for me to do that. So he got the realization he should not take any of these Sheilas. So as he was continuing his bath, all of a sudden, the Sheilas appeared to him. And then he thought, this is not right. And so he decided not to take them. But what happened was the Sheilas came and they started to jump right into his pouch. He had this little basket carrying pouch. And he was thinking, what is this? They're jumping into my pouch. And so he took them and placed them back into the river again. But again, the Sheilas did the same thing. And then he realized they wanted to go. So he took them to Vrindavan, and there were 12 Sheilas. And then he started to worship these Sheilas. Well, one night, which is on the eve of Lord Nrsingadev's appearance day, he was worshiping his Sheilas. And the next day, because he was always thinking, all of my associates, they all have wonderful Radha Krishna deities, and I don't have a Radha Krishna deity. Krishna has not come to me in that form. So he continued to worship his Sheila. But one night, just on the eve of the appearance day of Lord Nrsingadev, he was worshiping his Sheilas. He took rest that night. When he woke up, one of the Sheilas, which I think was the Damodar Sheila, transformed into a beautiful Krishna deity. And that was later known as Sri Radharaman. And if you see that beautiful deity, that deity is the most exquisite deity. It's considered to be one of the most popular deities in Sri Vrindavan Dham. That deity is the embodiment of the three main deities in Vrindavan, which is Madan Mohan, Gopinath, and Govindaji. And Madan Mohan, he has very special feet. Gopinath's face is very in line with Krishna. In other words, the feet of Madan is the feet of Krishna. The feet, the eyes, and the face of Gopinath is the eyes and face of Krishna. And the chest is Govindaji. So you see these three deities separately, you'll see their eyes, their feet are outstanding. And now, but those three features of the Lord came together in one deity as Sri Radharaman. So Radharaman has the face of Gopinath, he has the chest of Govindaji, he has the feet of Madan Mohan. And it was a most exquisite deity. If you see that deity even today, on the back of the deity, a piece of the Sheila is still prevalent. You can see it. Just to indicate that he did come from the Sheila. He transformed himself by his own power, because the Sheila is not different than Krishna, into a beautiful Krishna deity. And Gopal Bhatta was so happy, and that became his worshipful deity. And of course, if you go to the temple of Sri Radharaman today, it's one of the most crowded temples. People come to see the darshan. Radharani is there in an unmanifested form. You don't see Srimati Radharani in her transcendental form. She's there in an unmanifested form at the side of Raman, like that. And of course, over the years, many of the Goswamis of the Vrindavan Radharaman temple That temple was the most favorite temple of Srila Prabhupada because Vishwambara Goswami became a personal friend of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada liked him very much. Out of all of the temples in Vrindavan, the Sri Radharaman temple supported the ISKCON society more than ever. And personally, I also went there and had prasadam with the Goswamis many years ago, along with Radhanath Swami Maharaj. We sat with the family members there and had prasadam. And Padmanabh Goswami, who is one of the main Goswamis there, he also came to America. I hosted him when he came to Chicago in the year 2000, and we became friends. So the Radharaman temple is very close to our ISKCON society, even today. And Padmanabh Goswami's son, I can't remember his name, but he is also very favorable to ISKCON. So this is a little bit of the history of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. Gopal Bhatta Goswami wrote one book, which is known as Hari Bhakti Vilas. Some people say it was penned by Sanatan Goswami. Others say it's penned by Gopal Bhatta Goswami. But the understanding is that I believe Gopal Bhatta Goswami completed the work of Sanatan Goswami. Sanatan Goswami was initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to write Hari Bhakti Vilas, which is a series of verses, very extensive, takes up many volumes of books on how to execute devotional service, particularly and specifically for those who live in the Grihastha ashram. I would highly recommend those of you who are in Grihastha ashram, and ISKCON has published a set of volumes on Hari Bhakti Vilas. I would suggest you get it. It will really help you to understand how to execute devotional service in the Grihastha ashram. It's very helpful, and it was initiated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. And so Gopal Bhatta Goswami completed it after Sanatan Goswami had began the work. So both were given credit for that particular shastra. Gopal Bhatta Goswami also wrote one book on deity worship, the rules and regulations of deity worship, how to worship the deity according to the Pancharatriki system, instituted by Sri Narada Muni himself. What are the rules? What are the regulations? What are the restrictions? Very detailed, very comprehensive book on describing the intricacies of deity worship. Also, particularly recommended for serious grihastas. We don't know so much about the life of Gopal Bhatta Goswami except for what I have already said, only because when Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was commissioned to write about the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gopal Bhatta Goswami was there, and he told Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, do not mention my name in your book. And the reason why is because of his natural humility. He didn't want to be honored. So he asked for his name not to be included. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami very carefully, in one or two verses, he mentions Gopal Bhatta Goswami, only just to mention the fact that he was one of the prominent Goswamis of Vrindavan, but he doesn't give any descriptions of the activities of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So he's one of the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, and many other great souls also took initiation from Gopal Bhatta Goswami, like that. So, and of course, his uncle Prabodhananda Saraswati was a great, great preacher of Sri Vaishnavism, but then he also came to Vrindavan. When he came to Vrindavan, he fell in love with Vrindavan. And he writes books about the glories of Vrindavan, the book Glories of Mathura, like that. His writing is so interesting that he seems to speak in such a way that it sounds a little too much, you might say, in the sense that he doesn't want to know about any incarnation of Krishna. I don't want to hear about any incarnation. All I'm interested is in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He's the real incarnation of Krishna. He has so much love and so much exclusive focus on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that he makes that a point in many of his verses just to illustrate his attachment and to glorify Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Namo Mahavadanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Tristena Maha. He is the most magnanimous and most merciful incarnation of the Lord. We should consider ourselves extremely fortunate, not just fortunate. We have to take advantage of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's program. Read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, study the life of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You will learn so much and you'll become more and more attached to Mahaprabhu. Because coming attached to Mahaprabhu means entrance into the mood of Sri Vrindavan Dham. In this age, no one can approach Vrindavan Dham without the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He is Krishna himself in the mood of his own devotee, Srimati Radharani. And he is he's not considered to be an avatar. He's considered to be Krishna himself and the source of all avatars. So he is very merciful. Therefore, we should take advantage of his mercy in the form of chanting the holy names of the Lord. This is what Mahaprabhu is giving to us in a very direct and very simple and a very powerful way. Chant the holy names of the Lord. And your life will be, if you have any problems in life, it can all be pushed away by the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The holy Prabhupada says the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the panacea for all difficulties in this age. Panacea means the complete medicine. If you have a medicine that kills all diseases, then that is the best of all medicines. So this is the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is that powerful medicine and makes everything in life wonderful and pushes back the effects of Kali. Kali cannot stand in front of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Kali runs far away. Kaler dosha nidhi rajan asti eko mahagun kirtana eva Krishnasya mukta sangam param bhajat. We are here in Toronto, Canada. We just finished a 3-day festival with much chanting, with many powerful kirtan leaders here. And the last 2 days has been really explosive. The new people who had never really come in contact with our movement were jumping and chanting and having a wonderful experience. So I saw something this weekend that was quite amazing to see hundreds of people just dancing and chanting to the holy name in great exuberance. The holy name can just lift one up in such a way that one says, well, there's nothing else to do. This is it. We get the feeling that whatever else I'm doing is simply a waste of time. That is the mercy of Mahaprabhu coming through his Krishna's holy name. Mahaprabhu has added that element of mercy. That what is that? That he is chanting it and he's asking us to chant it also. It's his, and the fact it's being delivered by Mahaprabhu gives it an extra special feature when we chant. So yeah, so this chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is our everything. Materially, spiritually, everything is there in the holy name. So Prabodhananda Saraswati he was the uncle of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. He's written many books also, and he's actually an incarnation of one of the principal gopis of Vrindavan. One of the principal gopis is one of the Astasakis, I'm sorry, the 8 Astasakis. He is Tunga Vidya. If you go to Mayapur, you see Radha and Krishna standing in the middle, and there's four gopis on Krishna's side and 4 gopis on Radharani's side. Tunga Vidya is the last in the line on Krishna's side, and she was a great scholar, a great musician, a great artist. So that same gopi has reappeared as Prabodhananda Saraswati, who got direct association with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Okay, that's a little bit about Gopal Bhatta Goswami. So I can end here and see if there's any questions or comments, any realizations about your own life in relationship to Gopal Bhatta Goswami, or anything related to Krishna consciousness.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you very much for this wonderful insight into the life of our wonderful acharyas and the Goswamis. I think you wonderfully explained how at the tender age of 7, he came to the association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he, through his diligent service, he was given the mercy of Krishna Prema. And also how he was instructed to go to serve his parents and then go to Vrindavan. You also mentioned how he had a desire to get the Shaligram Shila, and he made a journey to the Gandaki River, and how wonderfully the Shaligram Shilas came to him, and how he had then later on developed a desire to serve him in the form of a deity, and the Shaligram Shila reciprocated by transforming into the deity form. And the form of Radharaman is very special because it has the feet of Madan Mohanji, the eyes and the face of Gopinathji, and the chest of Govindaji. And how this deity and the temple of Radharaman was very dear, and Vishwamba Goswami, who was very favorable to ISKCON, and Prabhupada loved that. And it still remains very favorable for ISKCON. You also mentioned how he completed and complemented the work which was done by Sanatan Goswami on the Hari Bhakti Vilas. And he wrote a very detailed manual on deity worship for serious Grihastha householders. Also, you glorified his uncle Prabodhananda Saraswati, who was one of the principal gopis, Tunga Vidya, and how he wrote many works on Krishna Bhakti, and specifically glorifying the holy name. And I think one of the things that you mentioned was quite wonderful, which is how the holy name and the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the medicine and the ultimate solution for this age. And how Kali runs away, and how this holy mantra, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is a mercy incarnation from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So thank you, dear devotees. I would humbly request that if you can turn on your cameras to make the session more interactive, more personal. And if you want to share any questions, realizations of the life of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, if you want to add anything, please do so. Thank you.
Hey Radhe. No comments? Okay.
Maharaj, I have a question whilst the devotees
Sri
contemplate
Devi
and
is
think.
there. She's got her hand up.
Okay, thank you, Sri Devi Mataji. Please go ahead. I think you are on mute, Mataji.
Thank you, Diptesh Prabhu. Dear Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for reminding us about these great saints. As I was hearing this class, I was thinking, we hear so much about these pure devotees of the Lord, what high level of devotion they have, how they are surrendered, and so on. But what about people like us? You know, we are not so surrendered, we are still very weak, we stumble, we fall. Why we never hear descriptions of success stories of people like us who are struggling so hard and finally actually, you know, become fixed in devotional service? We only hear about pure devotees, but they're already pure. They're already perfect. So could you shed some light on this?
You want to know how to make advancement in devotional service? Well, Mahajano Yena Katasa Panta means you follow in the footsteps of great personalities. You worship a great personality, you hear from great personalities, you try to understand what they are saying, and then you learn from them also how to apply it in your life. That is the process of application of the science of bhakti. Bhakti is by nature manifested from the internal energy of Krishna himself. Pure bhakti is Srimati Radharani, manifested into the science of how to worship Krishna in pure devotion. So if we follow the process, we will make advancement. And each soul has the capacity for pure devotional service because each soul is by nature pure. So it's a process. We might not be able to come up to the same level of purity as the great souls, but we can become pure enough to go back home, back to Godhead. That is the ultimate success. And then in that case, it's Mahaprabhu's mercy that's going to propel us back to Godhead. So it doesn't mean we don't do anything. It means we have to work. You have to, as I mentioned, serve great souls, hear from them, and take their teachings into your life.
Yes, Guru Maharaj. Thank you very much.
If you want Krishna, you have to cry for Krishna. If you can't cry for Krishna, you can't get Krishna. And you might say, well, I don't feel like crying for Krishna. Then you have to cry because you can't cry. And if you cry because you can't cry, then you'll be able to cry. You have to want Krishna more than anything if you're seriously about going back home, back to Godhead. Because that's our nature. Our nature is Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sarukha Bunoi Sravanadi Siddhi Chitte Koriye Udoy. We have pure love for Krishna. It resides within our existence. It's not something you bring from another place. It's not something you create. It is already there. You have to uncover it. Chanting uncovers it. Association uncovers it. Worshipping the Lord in his deity form uncovers it. Going to the temple And all of these things, going on pilgrimages, all of these things are all part of uncovering our love for Krishna. They give us an experience of the happiness of devotional service, while simultaneously removing the coverings of the material energy.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, thank you so much.
And you should understand, you can't do it, but with the mercy of the Lord and the mercy of the pure devotee, then mukam karoti vachalam mangu karate kirim yat kripa taraham bande sigurum dinatarninam. Yeah, then it's possible.
I told Guru Maharaj, thank you very much for the lovely homework you give.
Any other questions, realizations that devotees would like to share?
Abhijit, there is a question in the chat.
Okay, sorry about that. So the question is from Sashidhar Prabhu. The question is, Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and assembled devotees. Why should we cry for Krishna? Does Krishna want devotees to cry?
I think you don't understand the point. It's not like you're crying for some loss, you're crying to achieve something. Crying for loss is mourning. That's material. Crying for Krishna means that you want Krishna more than anything. When you love someone and you lose that lover, then you cry because that lover is no longer in your life. So Krishna is there, but we've lost him. He's gone. Want to bring him back. So what will bring him back? Our love. And that love is expressed in that mood of, it's called lauyam. Lauyam, it means intense desire to have Krishna, exhibited by the mood of emotional expression. It's not a public display that you present, but you have to come to that level of wanting Krishna more than anything. Then you can get Krishna. Only then. You can get his mercy on all levels of practice. But if you want him completely, he's not so easy. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the source of all existence. He's the cause of all causes. He's the greatest person in existence. Everything comes from him. We come from him. We belong to him. We don't belong to this material world. We live in this world and we have to somehow or other deal with the worldly activities that we are responsible for. But these are all ephemeral, has nothing to do with the soul. The soul only wants Krishna. So you asked the question, you got the answer. It borders on Sri Devi's question, yeah.
So Sashidhar Prabhu, you are commenting on the chat that thank you Maharaj, I did not understood that before, and thanks for making it clear. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, it's called lauyam, L-A-U-L Y-A-M, Lauyam. L-A-U-L-Y-A-M.
Maharaj, can I ask
When
a
you
question?
achieve Krishna consciousness, you have successfully entered into perfection of life. The perfection of life is to be Krishna conscious, always conscious of Krishna. Whatever else we do in life may either take us to Krishna or take us away from Krishna. But ultimately, the goal is to get to Krishna. Srimati, are you speaking something?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. No, I was talking to my daughter here. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I just happened to notice I thought you were going to cry or something.
No, Guru Maharaj.
Sri Devi Mataji has hands up. Mataji, do you want to go ahead and ask the question?
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu talked to the daughter of the niece of Srivas Pandit. And she was 4 years old. Mahaprabhu was playing with her and he said, Narayani, cry for Krishna. And she started to cry, like really cry. And she was crying for Krishna. Well, Mahaprabhu had blessed her with that mood of wanting Krishna. And she exhibited that by crying. And that same Narayani, she also took the remnants of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And later she became the mother of Vrindavan Das Thakur, the actual author of Chaitanya Bhagavat. To be by the blessings of Mahaprabhu. 4-year-old girl. Sri Devi, you had another question?
Yes, Guru Maharaj, if I may, I just want to really get this point clear, if you don't mind. So we hear so much, we read so much, and we are trying to understand also where the level of practice should be, but our day-to-day life, our practical application falls very short of that. Sorry. So where is the gap? How we can fill that gap so that we are actually moving closer and closer towards perfection rather than be caught up in the moment with whatever is pressing on hand, like say, oh, I have to get a new job, oh, I have to find a proper partner for my daughter, oh, I have to buy a new house, whatever it is. These material things come at us and then we get overwhelmed by that. Where is our Krishna consciousness when problems come? Why do we just fall like dominoes?
Well, you showed the defect just in your question. The question is, you get overwhelmed with these material things. There's the defect. Take care of your material responsibilities, but don't get overwhelmed. That means you're attached to these things. Just do them because there is a responsibility. If your daughter doesn't get married, or if your husband, doesn't get a good job, life goes on. Material success is not success at all. It's not. So we have to somehow fortify our material life. But if we become overwhelmed by it, we get attached to the results, then where's our Krishna consciousness? It's out the window. Material life should be supportive of your devotional life and not taking away from it. So the word you use, overwhelmed, means it's going to take away from your devotional life and not support it. I give the example, I said it so many times. You have to do your duty a material duty in a detached way. That's all. Your attachment is to Krishna. It's just like, you have to take care of your body. So you have to feed it, give it some rest, keep it healthy. These things we have to do. If you get overwhelmed in it, it becomes the subject of our discussions all the time. And where's our Krishna consciousness?
So is Krishna showing us our weak points when these come and showing, okay, this is where you need to work on, this is what you need to tackle and overcome. And then you will be free of this anartha, of this unnecessary attachment.
You're reciting the alphabet starting with Z. You're going Z, Y, X, T, S. Why don't you start with A instead of starting from the back? Starting with A means increase your Krishna consciousness, and the effects of the material life will diminish. But we don't want to do that because we're attached to our material life. We think that's success.
So true, Guru Maharaj, so true. Your answers are making it crystal clear about all these attachments that are pulling us back.
Anything you gain materially, you lose. Everything. Everything. It's just a matter of time. Prabhupada says, death comes along, your home, your wife, your husband, your children, your money, bank balance, everything finished. So why make it so important while you're living? Just do your duty. That's all. You have to learn how to play that role. Do your duty, but your real happiness is with Krishna. Because that's who you are. We're all Krishna Das. We're not household mom Das or, what else Das? Looking for an apartment Dasi. Servant of my mother-in-law Dasi. These are not our identities. We accept them. And in this life, we play a certain role. And if you come back in another life, you might be playing a completely opposite role. This life is like a movie. You go through the different phases, the movie ends, and then you go to another theater and you start another movie up. It's like the activities are the same, but the characters change. It's one life you're a woman, the next life you're a man.
No, Guru Maharaj, no more, please, no more. No more coming back here, please. Save me.
Prabhupada says the two armies are fighting with each other. They hate each other. And so they die hating the other party. In the next life, they take birth as the other party. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Baba talks about, two armies are fighting. The Palestinians were fighting with the Jews. They hate each other. When the last thing they see before they die is the enemy, and then they become that person, they become that same culture in the next life. That's it. Then they hate the opposite side, who they were in the previous life. When you look at material life, it's quite ridiculous. It's meant to teach you that you don't belong here. So do your duty to your family, take care of your responsibilities, but do it in a detached way. But when Krishna says, hey, I'm here, then you run to Krishna. Then you drop everything else. You can't, when Krishna says, you want to go back home to Godhead? Well, yeah, but I have to go to India and see my parents. But after I'm done, then I'll go back to Godhead. Prabhupada tells us.
Not me.
Prabhupada tells the story of the elderly lady. She carries a heavy burden on her back, and she's walking, and the burden is really heavy this particular day. So she drops it, and she can't pick it up. And so she calls out to Krishna, 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 help me, help me. So Krishna comes and he says, what do you want? She said, please put that burden back on my back. Krishna says, this lady's a nonsense, so he just leaves. Krishna came, she's with Krishna, and she's asking for the burden of material life back on her head again. So we don't want to be like that. But you have to learn to, and the secret is to accelerate your Krishna consciousness, and then your material life sort of fades more and more. That's all. You still do your responsibilities, but then you just do it as a detached way. And at one point, Krishna will cut you free from all that. That will happen. But it'll be only when Krishna wants to do that, when he sees you're ready to be cut free from that. So just increase your love for Krishna, that's all. That's easy.
This is such a valuable discussion, Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We have so many books. We can hear about Krishna, read about Krishna, serve Krishna, associate with devotees who are doing the same. It depends how bad you want Krishna. You'll exhibit that by your activities. I'm not telling you to change your position. I'm just telling you to add Krishna to your life more and more and more. And when you're Krishna conscious, you don't belong in this world anymore. So therefore, then you'll go back to Godhead. I'll be right back. Yesterday was also the 1-year disappearance day of our our wonderful disciple, god brother, personality named Janakinath Prabhu. And we have one devotee who is now Swami Bhagavan Keshava Maharaj, who was formerly known as Sutapa from London, has put together a little life book on the life of Janakinath. So I'm going to hold the book up. You can see it. Those of you don't have a copy, Diptesh is right online here. He has the supply of all the books. Contact Diptesh. You can learn about this great personality who, as the book says, one who loved life and at the same time was embracing death when death came. He was ready to go. And we're doing a second book on his life, more amongst the God family. So those of you who want to contribute anything to your memories of Janakinath, your experiences, what you learned from his association, you can write to Shamala, and she will take your offering, and that'll be part of our next book. Okay, so there's a little bit. So yesterday was the 1-year anniversary of Janakinath Prabhu's disappearance, and he's a great soul. We have much to learn from his life as a devotee, and along with appreciating the opportunity to have his association. Okay, so
Maharaj, I have a question on
yes, please.
the earlier topic, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, the question is, how are the current Goswamis of the Radharaman temple linked to Gopal Bhatta Goswami?
How is the Goswamis in the present Radharaman temple connected to Gopal Bhatta Goswami?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, that's interesting because they're connected through the deity. Because obviously he's Goswami, there's no family lineage. So at one point, when he left, obviously, I don't know who was his successor, who took over the worshiper. But then we have to go back and find out the history of who constructed the Radharaman temple and how the deity was installed and then worshipped, and from then on. So they're not in the family lineage. There's no family lineage, obviously, but it's a spiritual lineage. I don't have the information. That's an interesting question. How that temple got started and how the deity got installed. That would be good research for someone. Who wants to volunteer? Do a little research. Raj, how about you? You want to research that one out?
I can try, Maharaj.
I just picked you. I don't know why. But anybody, maybe many of you can do the research and put all the information together and correlate it. That's an interesting question. And the history also should be very interesting also. I'm sure it's available. It's just, I'm just not aware of it.
Thank you, Maharaj. And Maharaj, I have a second question, which is in regards to the Shaligram Srila. So Shaligram Srila should only be worshipped by the devotees if it is instructed by the Guru. Is that a correct understanding? Because I see many devotees who have Shaligram Shila at their homes, but they're not actually given by or approved or consented by their own spiritual masters. Somehow they went to Vrindavan and then they have the deities with them. Oh, sorry, the Shaligram.
Well, if you're going to establish the worship, yeah, you need permission from the Guru and directions also on how to worship. But there's people who just bring shaligrams into their home and they don't do any worship. They just leave them there. And I know devotees who have many shaligrams. There's one devotee had 3,000 shaligrams. There's a devotee now, I know he has about 2,000. There's one in Slovenia. He has about 3,000 also. So yeah, but these devotees who have that, they're also been given authorization by their spiritual master. But there's others who just, but then again, every black rock is not a shaligram, you know? Some of them appear to, there's been many examples where devotees have thought there was a shaligram, but it was not. So that's why they also have to authenticate whether that is the shaligram or not, if they secure it on their own. And there's ways of telling you. So I would always say, yeah, permission is required.
Thank you, Maharaj. And one last question from myself, if you would allow, Maharaj, on this is, you emphasized on the point that we need to do material duties in a detached way. And this is so much true. And we should be attached to the service of Krishna or activities related to Krishna consciousness. So we should be very much attached to those services. Should we also be attached to the results of the services? So for example, in book distribution, we are very anxious to distribute a certain number and we make our best endeavor. So we are very much attached to the service, but we are also very much attached to the outcomes for that service. And we need to get a certain books, for example, in book distribution. So should we be attached to the outcome as well, Maharaj?
We use an old saying, it's a little cliche, but it gives the understanding. You have to act like it depends on you, and you have to know it doesn't. You have to give everything to your service. And at the same time, you have to know that the outcome is not dependent on your effort alone. But transcendental anxiety is one of the features of an advanced devotee. Nobody can be transcendentally anxious unless they're very advanced.
Thank you, Maharaj. That answers it. Thank you very much.
Think about that. Raj.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
I had the good fortune of meeting Vandana.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. She came to my questions and answer booth yesterday at the festival.
Excellent.
Very, very nice devotee she is. Really nice.
Yes, yes. She needs a little encouragement, but she's very...
She's got the Sukriti. She just needs to be pushed in the direction of Krishna consciousness.
I keep sending her links and recordings and things, and she's she's always very enthusiastic to receive them.
Yeah, she's good. She's a devotee at heart. She just needs more exposure to the process. That's all.
Hopefully she'll get more connection with the devotees in Toronto.
Well, yesterday's festival, the weekend festival really brought people together, so it was good. Okay, so I'll need to move on. I have a lot of other responsibilities coming up on the horizon here, so we'll I'll be back tomorrow for tomorrow's class at the same time.
Thank you, Maharaj, and thank you all devotees for attending. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Diptesh, for your service. Very nice.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, I just want to announce one small thing. Our dear, one of our hosts, dear Vrinda Mataji, is getting initiated tomorrow, and her Prabhu also. And she is requesting your blessings and your Holiness's blessings and all the God family's prayers. On her behalf, I am requesting everyone to pray for her and her Prabhu. She is getting initiated tomorrow from his
Tomorrow in Washington, D.C., right?
yes, Guru Maharaj, yeah. From His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj.
Yeah, nice. She's very, very serious.
Yes, Guru Maharaj, her Prabhu too. Both are very
nice. Offer your prayers to Brinda that she will make a nice advancement.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, thank you very much. My obeisances to everyone. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj ki jai.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.